Airbus is one of the giants of global aviation. Every year, it delivers more than 700 aircraft to airlines around the
world.
By the end of 2025, that target rises to 800 aircraft a year, which means building and delivering at least 2 planes almost every day. Keeping that pace while building some of the safest aircraft in the sky is a massive industrial challenge. Each aircraft is made from millions of parts supplied by 1,500 companies across more than 30 countries. Today, we go inside Europe's largest aircraft manufacturing operation to follow one of the most complex supply chains on Earth. To keep production moving, Airbus relies on its signature transport aircraft, the Beluga, a freighter built specifically for oversized aircraft components. With its unmistakable shape and one-of-a-kind loading system, the Beluga is unlike anything else in aviation. But when Airbus launched the A380, the world's largest passenger jet, even the Beluga was no longer enough. Airbus had to create an entirely new transport network using barges, cargo, ships, and heavy-duty road convoys. At sea, waves can rise from 3 to 5 meters, turning every voyage into a high-risk operation. On the Garonne River, barges must squeeze under Bordeaux's Pont de Pierre, sometimes, with an operating window of only 3 minutes. And on the final road journey, these enormous parts move at night, where one small mistake could cost millions of
euros.
Just imagine a pair of aircraft wings, each worth up to 40 million euros. From road to sea to sky, these convoys cross more than 2,000 kilometers before reaching the final assembly line in Toulouse. After 21 days of transport and 6 to 8 months of manufacturing, Airbus aircraft like the A320, A350, and A380 are finally ready to take shape. At Toulouse-Blagnac Airport, the runway stretches into the distance, surrounded by giant hangars and aircraft in every direction. This is the heart of Airbus operations in Toulouse, where the company has grown into a global aviation powerhouse. Today, Airbus operates 11 production sites across Europe, each one responsible for a different part of the aircraft. Tail sections are built in Hamburg. Nose and center fuselage sections come from Saint-Nazaire. Wings are made in Broughton and horizontal tailplanes in
Cadiz.
All of these parts travel to Toulouse, where aircraft such as the A350 and the giant A380 are finally assembled. To keep that system running, Airbus uses 4 main transport methods: freighter, aircraft, cargo ships, barges, and trucks. For air transport, the star of the network is the Beluga, able to connect Airbus production sites within 2 hours. Only a small group of highly specialized pilots are qualified to fly it, and they work exclusively for Airbus. From nose to tail, the Beluga is 56 meters long, with a wingspan of 45 meters and a height of 17 meters. Its most recognizable feature is the huge, dome-shaped nose with an 11-meter-high cargo door that opens like a car hood. Through that massive opening, Airbus can load wide fuselage sections, large assemblies, and even aircraft wings. A single Beluga can carry 2 full sets of 320 wings or 1 enormous A350 wing. The scale is hard to grasp. An A320 wing is almost 23 meters long and 10 meters wide. The Beluga is based on the A300, Airbus's first commercial jet, but it was heavily redesigned for top-loading cargo. Engineers raised the cargo space above the cabin floor and lowered the cockpit so freight could pass over the flight deck. These design choices make the Beluga unique, with a maximum payload of 45 tons and a takeoff weight of 145 tons. Its schedule is packed. Today, 3 round trips are planned, beginning with an empty flight to Broughton, Wales. Broughton is home to Airbus's wing production plant, which can produce nearly 120 wings per month at full capacity. The wings must be loaded into the Beluga in about 80 minutes, but first, the aircraft's nose has to be fully inside the hangar. Only in a sheltered environment can the crew open the cargo hold and handle these high-value components safely. Depending on the mission, the Beluga carries 1 to 4 wings, a 50-ton cargo. Loader keeps each wing level as it moves into the hold. Today's cargo is an A350 wing, the longest component the Beluga can carry, with only centimeters of clearance. Since 1994, the Beluga has been Airbus's main tool for moving aircraft parts. But the A380 changed everything. When the A380 program began, Airbus faced a new problem. Its largest parts simply could not fit inside the Beluga. So the company redesigned its entire logistics system, adding custom barges, specialized cargo ships, and purpose-built trucks. Far from Toulouse, the next chapter begins. In Hamburg, Germany, one of Airbus's key export hubs and a nerve center for its logistics network. The port of Hamburg spans 8,000 hectares, with dozens of kilometers of quays and more than 10,000 ships arriving each year. The port handles around 140 million tons of cargo annually, including millions of containers and oversized Airbus components. From here, Airbus ships parts to China, the United States, and production sites across Europe, with cargo vessels making 2 round trips a week. Aircraft sections begin journeys of more than 2,000 kilometers, heading toward several European ports before final assembly. Hamburg mainly produces forward fuselage sections, along with large A350 and A380 fuselage structures over 20 meters long. To move pieces this size, Airbus uses row ships, large vessels designed so cargo can roll directly on and off. One example is the city of Hamburg, a 126-meter cargo ship with a massive hold, built for A380 and other Airbus components. Its cargo capacity is about 5 times greater than that of a Beluga transport aircraft. For round-the-clock operations, crews use self-propelled modular transporters. No cranes are needed. With this roll-on, roll-off system, each large aircraft section can be moved aboard in about 30 minutes. Today's load includes 2 A350 center fuselage sections and 1 A380 rear fuselage section measuring 23 meters long and 10 meters high. Even a 10-centimeter shift has to be controlled precisely before each part is secured inside the hold. The responsibility is enormous. A single wing can be worth up to 4 million euros. The city of Hamburg then spends 3 days at sea, covering more than 1,600 kilometers across the North Sea and along the Atlantic coast. Meanwhile, in Pauillac, 50 kilometers from Bordeaux, a massive A380 fuselage section is prepared for the trip to Toulouse. The route follows the Garonne River, but the bridges in Bordeaux make it impossible for a large cargo ship to pass. So Airbus built special barges, 75 meters long and 14 meters wide, twice the size of standard inland barges. Their biggest challenge is not just carrying aircraft parts, but passing safely beneath the bridges of the Garonne. To solve that, engineers added an adjustable lifting platform and a multi-purpose transporter for loading. Operations: this giant wheeled pallet is 35 meters long, powered like a heavy-duty truck, and fitted with 96 wheels. Its hydraulic system can lift aircraft, components weighing up to 200 tons, and place them onto the barge. Once the A380 sections are loaded and secured, the barge is ready to begin the river journey. The trip takes 8 to 10 hours at about 20 kilometers per hour, but most of the route runs against the current through tight waterways. The crew constantly adjusts course, and after 4 hours, the barge reaches the most dangerous point, the Pont des Pierres. Built during the Napoleonic era, this historic bridge is 500 meters long, with 17 arches across the river. The ninth arch is only 19 meters wide, and, depending on the water level, clearance can fall to just 1 or 2 meters. Sometimes the gap is measured not in meters, but in centimeters. The barge can move only when the signal turns green. Even 60 kilometers from the Atlantic, the river still feels the tide, so the captain must wait for the lowest possible water
level.
The operating window can be only 3 minutes. Miss it, and the barge must turn back and wait for the next tide. The barge's destination is Langen, where other A380 components are also waiting for clearance. From there, the parts will travel another 200 kilometers by road to the Airbus assembly plant in Toulouse. After more than 2,000 kilometers by sea and inland waterway, the next stage is a 12-hour road convoy over 2 nights. For the road move, Airbus uses a special, oversized convoy with a 650 horsepower tractor unit and a massive trailer. The cargo is worth tens of millions of euros, so technicians secure every section with extreme precision. The trailer is 5 meters wide, but the load can be 6.7 meters wide, so each component must sit exactly in the center. Once everything is locked down, the convoy leaves at 10 p.m. At only 30 kilometers per hour, it takes 2 nights to reach Toulouse. For the Beluga crew, every second matters. The flight from Broughton to Toulouse lasts about 90 minutes. Their mission is simple but demanding. Carry an A320 fuselage section to the final assembly line. The Beluga's handling is unlike a normal airliner, especially during approach and landing. Gusts of wind hit its oversized fuselage hard, so pilots must manage the aircraft with unusual care. Even so, the Beluga can land on standard runways with Airbus's control tower, monitoring every stage of the approach. Once the aircraft arrives, the unloading cycle begins. Enter the hangar, move the cargo into position, and complete checks. For the next flight, The full process takes exactly 100 minutes. To keep the aircraft stable, the team uses pressurized support cylinders. Depending on the component, the cargo may weigh 15 to 20 tons, and removing it can make the aircraft pitch or settle. The cylinders compensate for that weight shift, keeping the beluga perfectly level. During unloading, an electric roller system moves the fuselage section out of the hold, then a platform lifts it onto a trailer bound for the assembly line. Airbus logistics is like a carefully choreographed ballet, with hundreds of parts arriving from across Europe under constant pressure. About 1,500 kilometers from Toulouse, an A350 section and an A380 section are being loaded onto the city of Hamburg. The ship will sail for 3 days, crossing the North Sea and the Atlantic, before reaching St. Nazaire. In winter, Atlantic low-pressure systems can bring severe weather, and the ship may roll heavily as it approaches the French coast. To manage that risk, the crew keeps the cargo positioned and secured so it will not strike the hull in rough seas. Inside the 1,450 cubic meter hold, the aircraft sections are arranged like pieces in a giant puzzle. Around 30 chains hold the three components in place, and at sea their tension is checked again and again. At least every 4 hours, the crew inspects the cargo, while cameras give the captain a constant view of the hold. In a storm, the ship's high profile catches the wind, so the captain relies on stabilizer fins to reduce rolling. Two fins on the sides of the hull counter the ship's motion. Without them, the rolling could be 10 times worse. Time is critical. The ship must complete the journey within 3 days, or the Airbus supply chain is disrupted. In St. Nazaire, an A380 fuselage section is quickly unloaded and transferred to another Airbus vessel. After departing Pauillac near Bordeaux, the logistical journey continues up the Garonne River. The barge passes through Bordeaux and under the Pont de Pierre, where there is only about 1 meter of clearance on each side. To avoid the bridge arch, the two aircraft sections are lowered as far as possible, using the barge's lifting platform. The barge moves at 11 kilometers per hour for 4 hours, ending the inland waterway. Stage at Langen. Because the upper Garonne is no longer navigable, the parts must now switch from water to road. After 3 days by ocean freighter and barge, these Airbus components begin the final leg across southern France. A 40-person team will move 6 A380 components to Toulouse, a 250-kilometer journey that takes about 12 hours. Security and coordination are essential. Without centralized control, a convoy this large could never make it through. The route is divided into 5 to 30-kilometer segments with more than 40 barriers and 120 message signs, controlling traffic. The team is especially concerned about the A380 wing, which is more than 30 meters wide and stands 15 meters high. To fight fatigue, drivers take 45-minute breaks before pushing through the second half of the night. The convoy now heads toward Lavignac, the narrowest and most difficult section of the entire road route. Here, a fuselage section 12 meters in diameter passes rooftops with less than 30 centimeters of clearance. The components usually reach Toulouse around 3 a.m. and assembly can begin later that same day. From the start of production to arrival, the process takes 9 months, including 21 days of transport across 2,000 kilometers. But the giant structures are only part of the story. Building an aircraft also requires thousands of smaller parts. Final assembly is a precision puzzle, where some components must fit to the millimeter or even 1/100th of a millimeter. After electrical systems, landing gear, engines, paint, and interiors are installed, several more weeks pass before the aircraft can welcome its first passengers.